Hello, everyone, and welcome to our review of EA College Football 26. Now, it's been about over 2 weeks since the full release of the game, and while I do believe it is a step up from last year in a lot of aspects, there are some features or slight changes that changed or are missing in this iteration of the game. We will be taking a look at some key components that make up the game as a whole and combine each of their individual ratings to make up the game's overall rating at the end. So, with all of that being said, let's get into the first component, the presentation of EA College Football 26. So, the game has improved on their menu aesthetic and have really leaned into it even more. And I think it just looks better than 25. It's more dynamic. The addition of licensed music also helps the game so much and populates our ears with different music other than the same drum line over and over in the game and in the menu. Nothing really feels clunky here about navigating the home menu and the different tabs, though I don't like the ads for Ultimate Team, which is a game mode that I personally don't play. I'll go into the game mode menus later in the episode because I have my problems about that. But getting back to the presentation, when we actually get to the football game itself and the broadcast, the graphics package, pre-game presentation, and cinematic cuts the game has for big plays are also much better than 25. One of my favorite aspects by far is the new score bug that goes with this graphics package. It screams college football, and it's very pleasing to my eyes and probably everyone else's, as it doesn't feel as blocky as the last game's was. The game has more statistical presentation graphics, which, in my opinion, definitely makes it more immersive for the game in the broadcast and being able to see how your players are actually performing. This is a big thing, in my opinion, that they really need to lean in more on for the future games, make it seem more realistic, give us different stats, because I don't want to see the same ones. The cut-ins to the players after these huge plays aren't as buggy as last time and look more polished, and they don't do too much, which I appreciate. The halftime show, though, definitely needs to be more immersive, as they really only show 2 or 3 plays and don't really say anything interesting or show that many different stats during the halftime show. The broadcast presentation has definitely improved from 25 overall with new graphics commentators and all the cutscenes, which gives the look of 26 as a more evolved product. The rating for the presentation for me is going to sit at a solid 8.4. It's a great improvement from the previous game, but still hasn't gotten near the ceiling of immersion within the broadcast that I really want to see it go towards. Now, the next thing we are going to talk about in the component is the game modes. The core game provides the same game modes featured in EA College Football 25's game, and that is Road to Glory, Dynasty, Play Now, and Ultimate Team. And yes, I know there are practice and mini games and all of that and Road to the Playoffs, but I don't really find that too important for this rating and this discussion because I really don't think a lot of people play those game modes. Now, Road to Glory added back in the high school aspect of the game that everyone was kicking and screaming for over last year's game. And I'm very glad it came back and they didn't promote it so heavily that they quote unquote added it back. But this is where my gripes do begin to appear about this game. Compared to previous NCAA titles, the high school part of Road to Glory has been very minimized to a shell of what it used to be. The grind of playing a high school regular season was fun, and attempting to add a state championship to your legacy as well as increasing your recruiting rank Now, the current iteration of Road to Glory has you picking moments in games to play, and this is a severe downgrade, in my opinion, compared to what we used to have. First off, you have complete play call control. So really, I just found myself spamming the same screen pass or specific run play that I needed to get a certain achievement, which really made the gameplay feel like homework really than actually trying to win the game and playing it. I understand that it's not the main part of the game mode, but it still should be the foundation of this quote unquote simulation game that EA has the license to. We all need to start this foundation of our player of how did he play in high school? Did he not win a state championship? Does he really want to win that title because of that? Maybe he already won the state championship and he's a key player, but it's a little bit of immersion that just needs to be there, in my opinion. Outside of that, there's not really much that has changed from the last game, except for bonuses you received on base who you sign with and more forgiving position battles and coaching likability. I definitely think that the coaching likability needs to be restructured. It's kind of just bland. Many features, though, from the previous games have yet to really come back and make its way into 26 for Road to Glory. And we're going to give it a 6.8 rating for this individual game mode. As we move on to Dynasty, this is the beast game mode for this game, and I think it should definitely always be the flagship game mode that EA should be promoting. This is the game mode that players pour hours into to make their coach or program the epitome of greatness. But in my opinion, they really haven't made it anything near close to great as what it really was in NCAA 2013 and 2014. I believe it's a good game mode, but there is some depth that is still lacking. The game mode needs more immersive qualities, such as more news stories to go over in the menu and in-game updates of the other games that are happening real time around the country like they had in previous games. And what I'm mentioning is during the broadcast, they're going to, after a score, they're going to go and say, oh, look at this upset. And it's another team that would be playing in-game real time. And that's just small stuff that I wish that they would bring back because it added such an immersive quality and immersive depth to Dynasty that I really want to see them bolster. I like the added help and how the recruiting menu and process has changed and updated, but sometimes I do get a little frustrated on how the recruiting my prospects tabs are kind of streamlined. I kind of find myself like stumbling through it, but maybe I just need to get used to it more. But the quality of life and depth still really needs to be addressed before this game mode is seen as complete, in my opinion. Now, I will still play it, yes, because it's better than 25, but there are things like, for instance, the trophy room. They're saying we've got the trophy room back. It's like, well, why wasn't it in the last year's game in the first place? And I just feel like there are so many problems that can be addressed in a simple patch for Dynasty that they are just going to push off for the other game and say, hey, look what we have for you. Now, although a lot of my complaints are minor, I thought about that going into what I was going to rate Dynasty. And for the kind of less glaring problems and the bigger problems that were addressed from last year, I will be giving it a 7.8 out of 10 rating for this game mode. Outside of this, there are still fan favorite game modes that are missing in this game, like Mascot Mashup, Classic Game Moments, and Heisman Challenge game modes that were in previous iterations. I think the disservice not to include especially Mascot Mashup is completely ridiculous. I mean, who doesn't want to see a Stanford tree catching a winning touchdown against any number of animals that are mascots or Pistol Pete? It just adds simple depth to the game that should easily be there, and it should be easily built. But EA, for some reason, is waiting and will probably say next year or 2 years later down the road, oh, look what we added for you in the next game. You should be lucky. With the lack of other fun game modes missing, combined with the limited access to what we used to have in earlier games, really diminishes the game modes and the core modes. And I really want them to bring in more game modes. When we get into gameplay, it's a much different conversation. From what I have seen, the fast pace and explosive mobility that we saw a lot of in EA College Football 25 really has seen a setback and feels more like a Madden title, which is something scary that I don't want to see going down the road. The skill positions seem a little bit more clunky and slower than usual when these are fast young adults competing for a chance in the NFL. And when I'm referencing that, yes, they are fast, but it doesn't feel the same as it was in College Football 25. A lot of the times I feel like I will be using a skill position player. I'm running past a defensive lineman that my offensive line is guarding, and he perfectly sheds the tackle and gets me in a tackle animation. And this brings me to the next really big problem that I have with this game, and it's that the game physics don't seem to fully be there either. Now, this has been shown time and time again with a lot of Madden titles that they are animation heavy. And this has even been shown to me that I have dove as a defensive lineman and I didn't get a tackle animation. There was no animation at all. I fell in front of him, hitting his legs, and he just kind of pushed me to the side with no stumble of any kind, which only adds to the argument that I fear that the gameplay is turning too animation heavy. Now, this is going to happen because they really need to change what engine they are going to use if they want to do this, overhaul the system, and I just don't see them moving from the Frostbite engine anytime soon, which is sad. But a good news that I would like to share is that I personally haven't had any terrible bugs while playing the game or experienced anything that looks too buggy or just doesn't look good at all that really would diminish the value. Now, I know some people have experienced this and they are working on patches, but I really don't see the gameplay changing much or evolving much past this, as I think the competitive Madden community that plays this game is starting to speak out wanting this style of gameplay. But I think overall it's a downgrade that really has me questioning how long we have until this game becomes a reskin of Madden. And with all that to take in, I have to give it a 7.2 out of 10. And that's really all there is to it. It's average gameplay. It's what we're used to in Madden. And one thing I will say that I think was a great, I guess how you put it, upgrade was Team Builder. No, it's not technically in the game that you buy, but I just wanted to come out and say that I thought it was great that they updated it, added more to it. I've had so much fun doing Team Builder all the way back in 2012 when they had it for NCAA 2013 and 14, made teams. It was so much fun. I'm glad that they made the website less buggy and they have added more customability to it. It's just great to see that. But for my final thoughts, I want to start out by saying that I do believe that this game is a step up from last year with their new additions to the game, air quotations. But that is just something that bugs me. I'm very worried that EA is slowly going to add everything into the game over the years, claiming it's a new addition when it was in the older games and could have been in an update. This is the model that they have gone with for so many years, in the same money cash grab pattern that they have had with Madden in the last decade. As I will ultimately be playing college football 26 much more than 25, it's still a few steps below what we used to have and what the title used to represent under the EA NCAA title. And I think that they should just give everything that they can to the college football fans out there that are going to buy this game. Now, at the end of this, all of the ratings combined, we are giving it an overall rating of 7.55 out of 10, as this game is back to an average uncompared to last year. I didn't give an official review, but it definitely wasn't an average game. But this game just lacks all the nuances and small attention to details and a couple of game modes that should be in there and a couple of things here and there that need to be added to really get above a 7.55. With all that being done, thank you for listening to our review of the game. See you next time.